Hi everyone! So, as this is entitled, this is a book review. And, as you can see, it is about this book, Dark Whispers by Bruce Coville. It is the third book in the Unicorn Chronicles. And it is a quartet, because there's only 4 books in this series. So, I just finished this book, seriously, seconds ago. And this, I kind of didn't want to put it down because every time it was it amps up the entire urgency and the excitement and the danger and the story and the back history of Luster and the unicorns and oh my god, the what happens with these unicorns. He writes that he attempted to gather all of the, and he used the information about unicorns that we know, that has been written and put in this book. But I don't think that is I don't know if that's true or if part of it was made up. But you find out something about the unicorns in this book, and it's wow, it's just incredible and just mind-blowing at the same time. Just oh my god, I can't believe they did that, or that happened to them. It's just amazing. And a lot of death, and a lot of there's not a lot of death, but there is death in this book. And it's why is there death in this book? And it's shocking death. It's not where I think they introduce death into children's book like this, where it's for example, a battle happens, or it happens as a backstory. It doesn't it's not what's going on right now stuff. Sort of when you find out the how the whole kind of basics of how Beloved and the unicorns sort of hatred. Well, they don't have a hatred for Beloved, but she has a major hatred for them. But it's there is death when that sort of history between the two of them happen, but it's not as shocking and bad as when you read about it in here. It's and it's these characters that you have come to love, almost love so much, and yeah, sort of that kind of thing, if you fell in love with the characters that do die in this book. And it's just, oh my god, I can't believe it. It's incredible. And you go, there's also this creature in this book, and it is so darn freaking scary. I never want to be actually anywhere near this creature that appears in the middle of this book, sort of. It's a fast-paced book. It keeps you on your toes, and there's not a lot of shocking turns, but there are a few shocking turns. Not that many, but there are. It's a very small amount. And when they happen, it's a true kind of shocking turn that happens. So it's good. The title actually really goes in hand with the basic plot that's going on in here, that takes us from the beginning of the book to the end of the book. It's that basic plot line, the story that's going on. It really you really understand why it's called Dark Whispers. Oh my gosh, it's so good. You have to read it. You have to understand why it's why it's so fast-paced, and it's just part of me just didn't want to put it down. And, true to the this panel here, you have your 2 storylines. You have Kara's, which is your main one, and then you have the second one, which is about her father. And then there's some subsidiary storylines going on. There's one for Beloved, and there's one for the Dimbletham, and there's another one for a Delver, but that one's small. It's very small. The Dimple Thumb, you start out with the Dimple Thumb in here. It's not really a spoiler. So you start with the Dimple Thumb's storyline, and you get a Beloved storyline. They're not main ones. They're very small ones. So they pop up here and there, very very sporadically. So most of the time you do get Kara and her father, but very sporadically you'll get the Dimple Thumb and Beloved, and like this 2 chapters on their own. You get that Delver's storyline. Is there another one? I don't think there's any more storylines that okay, there is one that's basically in a chapter of its own, and it basically just ends there. And you get another small one, and it's by another character that I won't tell you about, but you first meet her in Song of the Wanderer, which is the second book. And yes. And then you get another small one that starts like some of them start just after the halfway point here, and that's a very small storyline. And that one, it's Lightfoot's storyline, so it's not a spoiler because he's from the beginning of this whole thing. And then yeah, so that's 6 storylines that I kind of just said there are. There's less than 10 storylines, like 6, maybe 8 storylines. That's insane, but they all really flow together, and it is not like Game of Thrones or the Song of Fire and Ice. I think that's what the series is called, or George Martin's books that I never will read. It's not like that. It's not like that. This one, I don't know about the books, but it's not like it's just not like the TV series or the books. It's very easy to follow each storyline. I have nothing else really to talk about this book other than it is a really good book, and you should definitely read it. But it would make more sense if you read Into the Land of Unicorns and Song of the Wanderer first, and then read this book, because it would make a lot more sense. But I think you could read it. It depends how you feel, but you might be able to read it out of order, depending on how you feel about that. But if you're someone like me who's okay, if this is as good as she says, I will have to start from the beginning of it to understand the whole process of the whole entire thing. Now, it didn't start becoming an entire tying series until Song of the Wanderer. The Into the Land of Unicorn, that ended actually really simply. It could have been just a standalone book, but then he wrote Song of the Wanderer, and then that's how Dark Whispers and the next book that I'm reading is the final book in the series. How those 3 basically tie together. So that was this book, and I am done this book. And it's a pretty thick book, but guess what? This is even bigger. Look at that. It's so big. So as you can see, this is The Last Hunt by Bruce Coville, the 4th and final book of the Unicorn Chronicles. And if you read the Dark Whispers, you will understand why it's called The Last Hunt. And then back here is just a review for each book, and it's on there too. So I'm gonna read this right now. This cost me an insane amount of money just to get this book. It was insane. I think it cost me $105 or something like that. At least something like $100 for this freaking book. It's insane. And Canadian, it cost $23.99 before tax. I could have bought this at the store for that money, but I wanted to buy it off of Better World Books because I figured it was a relatively older book, so I'd get it for cheap. But no. Stupid people have to price it for like $100 or something. Like, okay, maybe that's not true, but I did have to pay something around that price for a Nora Roberts book, which is insane. But I can't remember how much I paid for this book. If you go back, probably in one of my unboxing or unbagging videos, I should say how much this is or something like that. But anyway, let's get to this thing and just stop talking about money and how insane amounts I paid for this like last year. In the center of Luster stands an enormous tree called the Axis Mundi, and that is spelled well, I think you know how axis is spelled, but for those of you who don't, it is A-X-I-S, and then Mundi is M-U-N-D-I, the heart of the world. But now that tree is wounded, pierced by magic. Through that wound marches an army of hunters, led by the sinister and vengeful Beloved, and they are all determined to destroy each and every unicorn. As the unicorns gather to defend their lives, the human girl, Kara, is sent on a mission to meet a ferocious and mysterious dragon. Faced with extreme peril, Kara must make a desperate decision that will change her life forever. With a deft hand and keen imagination, master storyteller Bruce Coville brings this riveting epic fantasy to a rousing conclusion as the deepest secrets of Luster are finally and satisfyingly unveiled. I love that sort of stuff. Like, seriously, I do. And it'll be good to finally get to the end of this series. Bruce Coville has been writing about unicorns for nearly 30 years, and every day he receives letters from fans around the country who beg for the final episode of this amazing series. So that is, kind of not written correctly, because okay, maybe he has been writing about it for 30 years, but he hasn't been, for 30 years, he hasn't been writing more than, this is the last book. And on his website, he doesn't have any more than these 4 books, so. And, it's, I don't know, who begged for the final, I don't know why they wrote that who begged for the final episode of this amazing series. If they're going to say that, they should add that, which is finally now in print, sort of thing. He has received over a dozen Children's Choice Awards and has written more than 90 popular books for young people, including Into the Land of Unicorns, Song of the Wanderer, Dark Whispers, and My Teacher is an Alien. He lives in Syracuse, New York, with his wife, Catherine. There is a Unicorn Chronicles website, so I think I'll check that out. I don't know if it was the last time on there, but I don't know. We'll see. And about the author. Ooh, there's stuff in here. About the creatures. Oh, cast of characters, that's what it is. And then the final thing from the Unicorn Chronicles, which is the same thing last time. There's so many freaking chapters in here. This was actually published not that long after the 3rd book. The text copyright is 2010, so it's not that long. The dedication page says it's for Adam and Charlotte. I don't know who they are. It just says Adam and Charlotte. We're going to read the acknowledgements. To say this book has been a long time in the making would be an understatement. When Jean Faywell invited me back in 1991 to create a unicorn series, neither of us could have imagined it would take me nearly 2 decades to reach the end of the story. In those years, I have been helped enormously by good eyes, and even better ears of many friends, including a bunch of people, and someone who died. I also owe thanks to Pat Brigandy, my editor for the first book, and Zihava Cohn, C-O-H-N, Cohen, something like that, who guided me through the second. Both helped me shape the world and the story that continues to evolve. For this book, as for Dark Whisperers, the editorial reins were taken up by Deanna Hess and Lisa Meltzer, ably assisted by the wonderful Grace Kendall. Additionally, my beloved writers group, a bunch of people, listened patiently in and out of nearly a decade, trying to keep track of the strands of the story, even when I would return to it after leaving them hanging for 6 months or more. Their patience was monumental, and their contributions, holy shit, why couldn't I not have pronounced that the first time? Contributions invaluable. In the last year, I added a second writers group. There's a few more people, and their input has been likewise invaluable. I want to express not only gratitude, but apologies to all the booksellers who have spent years dealing with the queries, eager, anxious, and sometimes cranky about when the next book would be released. I also need to give a special call out to a young fan named Tori Hutchinson, who provided the name for Seeker. Though he only appears in one brief scene, his name felt very right to me. Appreciation of a very deep kind goes to Pitar. I'm not even going to pronounce that person's name, whose cover art made me almost giddy with delight. Oh, this person here who made all these beautiful art. Pitar thoroughly captures the spirit of wonder and adventure and mystery that I am trying to create in these pages. A major tip of the hat to Phil Falco for his beautiful and elegant design work on volumes 3 and 4, and for recreating the look of the full series. Oh, so Phil Falco did this one. I guess this Pitar did the first one, or I don't know. But Phil Falco did this art and Dark Whispers. But most of all, I must thank the fans who urged me, with varying degrees of patience, to finish the darn thing. Many who started reading the Chronicles as children have grown up while I have been trying to write this concluding volume, and I am both chastened and heartened by their continuing emails letting me know that they are still eager to read it. If I hadn't been painfully aware that so many people were waiting for this story, I might have given up at any number of points along the way. So thanks, dear friends. It's been a long journey, and I literally could not have done it without you. Which is not to say there could not be more books about Luster. After all, there are hundreds of scrolls and books in Grimwald's cavern, and they are filled with the tales of the adventures the unicorns and their friends have had across many centuries. So there are certainly stories left to tell, though none quite so epic as this one. Last but not least, I should acknowledge my cat, Luna, who is my personal squidgem. Bruce Coville. Here's another map. And that's all I'm going to give you, because I'm not going to read this. Put that bookmark there, and I'm going to end that there. So, as the light dies here, and I'm not going to try not to change the exposure, I'm going to end the video here. I hope you like this book review. The book review was actually very short, but then I get to the new book I'm reading, and makes this video like 20 minutes long. So, I hope you liked it. Give it a thumbs up if you like this book series, if you like seeing me, if you liked the book review I gave. And then, subscribe to see more book reviews, more unboxing, unbagging, hauls, and random favorite videos. So, I'm going to get going. I might read this book Oh my god, that's so itchy. I might get started reading this book because I kind of really want to read it. Or, I think I'm going to continue watching these YouTube videos I've been watching till my shower. Yeah, that sounds like a good idea. I like that. And, so yeah, I hope the weather is being nice to you. I hope you're all feeling very well because I think I'm actually getting a cold. I don't know, my throat is starting to feel a little weird. Or my throat and nose kind of meet. So I'm going to leave you now. And, keep on reading. Bye, everyone.